Great game. 50 seconds to go. Hurts. Deep shot. Hauled in. Devontae.
Sure.
Before the press conferences even start. I mean, we could talk for 45 minutes just about how atrocious the defense is.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on DSM Media. We're live, as always, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. You know the drill. Smash that like button. Smash that share button. Retweet it out on Twitter. And make sure you head over to the YouTube page to get involved with the show. The best way to interact with myself and my co-hosts on a daily basis is on the YouTube page. You hit that thumbs up button. You hit the subscribe button. And you put your comments. And we could put them just like these examples right up on the screen. We can interact, answer your questions, answer your thoughts, and discuss them live on the air. My name is Phil Stifel at Bearded Knowledge on Twitter. Joined today by fellow DSM team member sitting in for Jason today is Dylan Davis at DylanJD98. Good morning, Dylan. How you doing?
What's going on, Phil? This is new territory for me, man. This I felt like I woke up at 5 a.m. to get ready for this thing, dude. But we'll have
it takes a long time to get used to waking up for the morning show. It absolutely does.
Yeah,
but then
I'll try to be on my A game for you today.
Dude, I'm telling you, once you do a morning show, it like makes the rest of your day so much more productive because it
sets the tone for your day.
Sets the tone for the day. Unless you get some really negative comments in the comments that piss you off, and then it just ruins your day. But that's a totally different subject.
This guy sucks.
I know this guy sucks. Absolutely. Anyway, we are brought to you here, as on all DSM shows, by Manscaped, the leader in men's grooming products, the GOAT in below the waist maintenance. Make sure you check them out at manscaped.com. Use promo code DSM at checkout. It does a couple things. One, it gets you 20% off and free shipping, and it lets them know that Team DSM sent you. Helps promote all the different podcasts out there using Manscaped. Make sure you use the promo code from the best podcast team out there, DSM. So use promo code DSM at checkout. All right, Dylan, we got a jam-packed show today. I was planning today, Football Friday, to be a mock draft season 1.0 conversation, but then last night the Sixers just had a not just a big win, but just it was a fantastic game. So we're going to start Sixers talk here today before we get into draft talk later on in the show. But first off, Sixers, huge win last night against the Milwaukee Bucks, 123-120. There's so many different things to talk about that game, positives and negatives. But I just can't ever, after a big win like that, ever not just say enough about Joel Embiid's dominance and how he is literally, no doubt about it at this point, MVP of the league and probably the best player in the league at this point.
He still is doing things that I haven't seen before. It's every game, Phil, where there's a wow factor. Like his second attempt since James Harden has been a 76er, and he nails the step back three. He's 7 feet tall. He even had the one, like, no one really talked about it, but when he was backing down Ibaka late in the fourth quarter on the baseline, and he had like the hezzy, like fake turnaround, and then boom, like hooked Ibaka and went around and drew the foul. Like, he's 7 feet tall. His footwork, he had another dream shake last night. He's absolutely ridiculous. You knew he had that game marked on his calendar going up against Giannis, and it felt really good. And obviously we'll get into what went on throughout the game, but it felt really good to finally get that win, because no matter how good Joel was, it just felt like, man, Giannis is going to come away with another win. The attention is going to be on Milwaukee. The Sixers are going to drop more in the standings, and now heading into the All-Star break, they moved up to number 3 in the standings ahead of the Milwaukee Bucks, and he finally got that win against Giannis on the road nonetheless.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I want to get to that later. I'll get the big win on the road. But I think the momentum, you had that really awful defeat. And we talked about it on this show this week, after that game. Can you just write that off and just, hey, it was a clunker. It happens sometimes. But if you had that clunker and then you went into Milwaukee and you lost, whether it was a close loss or another crushing loss, the momentum going into the All-Star break, I don't care that James Harden's coming in, you kind of have to be down on yourself a little bit. But being able to go into Milwaukee and win after that Boston Celtics game, I mean, it was a close game, and you knew that they weren't going to blow out but they were up, 13 or 14 a couple different times, the Sixers. Yeah. You knew Milwaukee was going to make their runs and keep that game close. But the fact that how they won it, that confidence boost going into the All-Star weekend, and then knowing that you have James Harden coming back right after that. I mean, the confidence level of this Sixers team has to be completely through the roof. And they have to think in their minds right now that no one can stop them going into the unofficial second half of the season.
100%. And a lot of thing that people are throwing out this word statement win last night. And it was for sure. It was a statement win. But I think another thing that it was, the shout out to the TNT broadcast for once. They brought this up. Like it was the mark, it was the sign of a great team. Like of a team that has leadership in the locker room. Like you get dusted like that on your home court by a rival on Tuesday night, one game left before the All-Star break on the road against this team. And you come out and like you said, even just to perform that way, to keep it close, shorthanded, right? That would have been a win somewhat in itself. To go in there and win in that fashion, that was the mark of a great team, to just brush off that horrible loss and then come out and beat an even better team than you lost to the other night.
I mean, it could have easily gotten out of hand because in the beginning of the first quarter, I mean, Tobias Harris and Joel Embiid that first quarter, they were dominating. I mean, they were playing really great. They were the only two people. I think it was like 20 or 22
or 20
were by those two guys. And it was about, I think it was like 2 4-point game at the end of the first. But at the beginning of the second quarter, you start to see the Bucks start to separate a little bit. They're up 8, 10 points.
12,
and all of a sudden there's a timeout. And I'm going to say this, James Harden is already making this team better, and he hasn't even played. Because you saw James Harden, and again, for some reason last night, the TNT broadcast was not god-awful. Which is
I know.
Crazy. They made great points on both sides all game long. And there's that point. They brought it up. They showed it. Maxey was pulled aside by James Harden. We went from 8 down to 12 up in the literally 5 minutes after that timeout. And Tyrese Maxey just all of a sudden, it's like a switch just went off in his head. He went just balls out.
Yeah.
And that moment, if James Harden doesn't have that conversation with Tyrese Maxey, who knows what happens?
I know.
We go from 8 down to 10 down to 14 down. Who knows what happens there? That timeout, James Harden helped turn the tides, and he wasn't even dressed for the game.
And then thank you. That was awesome to see as well. But you hit it right on the head there. Like Tyrese Maxey, and yes, he scored, I believe, 19 points. He was 10 of 10 from the free throw line. But Tyrese Maxey didn't shoot the ball well last night. But what I love about the kid is it doesn't deter him. And all it took was one streak from him. He took the game over for probably like a 3 to 4 minute period. And that changed the entire outcome of the game, right? So he didn't have an overall great night, but that 3 to 4 minute period late in the second quarter, what took the Sixers, like you said, from down 12 to up 8 at halftime. And if it doesn't go that way, forget 12, 14 points. The Boston game you can take, for example, they could be down 22 points at halftime. And then, it's cooked. Maybe if he doesn't even play in the second half. So, yes, Tyrese Maxey changed the outcome of this game just in that little spurt. But that's why this game was so great. Like, yes, the icing on the top was the Sixers winning it, right? But the basketball game was unreal last night. The runs, the back and forth, the late game, everything going on late game, but just the way it's set up for the Sixers. You mentioned Tobias Harris. He was great in the first quarter. He was great in the fourth quarter. Tyrese Maxey had his spurt. The role players and George Niang and even Furkan Korkmaz knocked down shots. And then it allowed for Embiid to take over when Embiid could take over. And that's what this game was.
You bring up George Niang. I mean, I was taking credit for George Niang's turnaround. He had a turnover under the basket early in the game. And look, I've said it. I have not hidden my, I don't want to say dislike of George Niang. George Niang is a guy that's never played more than 15 minutes a game in his career. And he's being relied on to play 25 to 30. Last night, 40 minutes he played last night. He is being misused on this team. He obviously is. And look, he had a huge game. But early in the game, he was struggling. Had a turnover, and I wanted to take credit because I called him out. Yeah. But then it comes out after the game that George Niang said or James Harden said to George Niang after a timeout after that turnover, dude, I don't want you under the basket. Take 10 threes. He did take 10 threes, and he made 5 of them. So it's not my, I didn't turn George Niang around last night. James Harden turned around Tyrese Maxey, and he turned around Niang. So that everybody talks about how bad of a teammate James Harden is, and he's not a guy to be a mentor. Obviously, in one day, he's already turned in and shown that that's all fake news. That James Harden is not a bad teammate or a bad person. That he actually does care about whatever team he's on winning.
Well, it's what type of person you are too, right? Like remember like back in the Minnesota days with Jimmy Butler before the trade, he was called out as this bad teammate, this bad guy because he pushed guys. I don't think Jimmy Butler's seen him here with Joe, seen him in Miami. I don't think Jimmy Butler is all that bad of a teammate. I think he just wants to win and he wants to make everyone better. The way he goes about it might not be so great. So who knows what happened in Brooklyn and at the end of time in Houston? Like James Harden could have just been hard on guys. Maybe he was hard on some of the young guys in Brooklyn or said things a certain way that, he just meant to be, yo, you got to do this to be better. And they took it as criticism. But he's been great so far. And he hasn't even stepped on the floor yet. The George Niang thing, yes, 100%. 40 minutes should never be a thing for George
I don't
Niang.
think 25 minutes should happen for him.
But luckily for Doc, he did press the right button last night, starting him. Somehow, unathletic, slow George Niang stayed with Giannis. I know Giannis ended up having great numbers by the end of the game, but I think Giannis was at like 12 at halftime. And in the third quarter, he was only at like 17 or 19. He played fine on him. Hell, they had Danny Green on Giannis on some possessions. And he did. I mean, I know the one, he just threw Danny out of the way and yammed it. But other than that, Doc
he literally picked up Furkan Korkmaz and carried him like a
by
baby.
the way, that's a foul. Like, I don't know how you review that. He's first forget the fact that he elbowed him in the head on the way up to get the ball.
Yeah.
When he's the picture literally shows him holding his wrist. That's the definition of a foul, ladies and gents. And they overturned it.
Well, because it's Giannis. I mean, I brought it up on Twitter last night and everybody agreed. How many times do you see a Sixer? You see Tobias do it all the time. You see Joel do it. Lower their shoulder for separation. Foul called instantly. I mean, that's Giannis' game. You take that away from him.
100%.
He's not even an all-star player. That is literally what he does.
And if Joel does that with that big frame, it's going the other way.
Hell, if Joel does it, sometimes it's a flagrant foul because he's so big, he crushes people when he does it. But it's frustrating that the double standards with the refs with certain players in the NBA.
Let me ask you about another rotational piece though. Paul Millsap.
Yeah.
Got any interest in his run? Obviously, B-ball Paul, kind of took the back seat already to the other Paul.
First off, people forget he's 37. He's not who he used to be, Paul Millsap.
No, yeah.
Paul Millsap is a 4-time All-Star.
Yeah.
Paul Millsap has played in big games. He's been in this league for, I want to say 16, 17 years.
He's savvy, dude.
People don't realize what they're getting in Paul Millsap because he wasn't playing in Brooklyn. He had fallen out of the rotation. I don't even think he was in Brooklyn. I think he was
in Atlanta
working out. Yeah, he wasn't even around. People forget what Paul Millsap used to be. And he's not that person. But he's that veteran that we need off the bench. He won't always, based off of matchups, be your backup center. If you go out and get I hear all the Robin Lopez's and the Tristan Thompson. Well, he actually signed somewhere already. The Enos Freedom.
But he can cut into Niang's minutes, to your point, because he can play four.
Absolutely. He will have a part in the rotation going forward. I saw people saying when we got him that he was going to be an instant buyout candidate. Yeah. There's no way. You need that. There's another thing that he brings, and you saw it twice last night, a little physicality.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need one of your starters playing super physical and picking up ticky-tack fails, but you've seen plenty of teams have guys that hard fails, set a tone.
And he's
kind of like
that veteran
dude's name that got into the fight with Miami a few years ago in the playoffs. Yeah, I think he went at it with Dwayne Wade. He was a 3-and-D guy, like deep end of our bench, and he got into it with
Anderson.
Yeah, James Anderson.
Justin Anderson. Justin
Anderson. He's got the Justin Anderson energy with actually some talent still left in the tank.
Yeah.
So you need that on a team.
He's that guy. He's that veteran guy that just knows where to be on the basketball floor at all times. Like he stepped in front of the charge. I believe it was on Giannis last night, which was a great play defensively that saved the bucket. And then on the other end, just to pick and roll with Shake, he had a couple of those last night, and he can knock down the 3-ball, at a decent clip. So he definitely should have minutes. Obviously, if they go out and get a backup 5 into buyout, that he can split time between backup 5 with that guy and Niang as backup 4, where Niang doesn't have to play 20 minutes as the backup 4. Maybe they go 10 and 10 at the backup 4 position. So
and that's where George Niang should be. He should be 10, 12 minutes a game. Because also, I mean, let's think about it. I mean, you got him, you got Furkan, you got a couple guys on your bench that are either super ice cold from deep or super red hot from deep.
Right.
You're going to need every game come playoff time. It's going to be a different guy that's going to you need George Niang's legs to be rest it come playoff time because he's not 22 years old. He's not Tyrese Maxey and can just go 42 minutes a game and pop up all the time. You're going to want George Niang for that game that Furkan is ice cold to play 18 minutes. Right. And he's not going to have those legs come playoff times if you keep running him 35, 40 minutes a game. So it's really key there for that. You said that George Niang played pretty well defensively against Giannis. And that was the one thing that just the entire game, all the positive that I pulled out of the game, it just kept sitting in the back of my head and circling like a little hamster wheel. There's a very good chance we play Milwaukee in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. I do not see anybody on the Sixers team being able to guard and contain Giannis in a 7-game series. And that still to this point is my biggest fear going forward with this team is James Harden's going to help offensively, obviously. You know, this team is a really great team. But without Ben Simmons on this team, Matisse, he's obviously in his slump right now. He's in his own head right now. Obviously, you saw his minutes just completely fall off. I don't even know if he played in the second half. Other than
he switched in and out at the end.
Seconds, when they were doing defensive subs. You can't have Danny Green guard him 25, 30 minutes a game. You can't expect George Niang to do it every single game. What do the Sixers do if they have to face a team like the Bucks, where you got a guy like Giannis that you can't guard?
I don't have an answer for that because they don't have the personnel to do that defensively right now. However, what I saw last night made me feel better on the offensive end because Brook Lopez isn't coming back. I don't by playoff. Maybe he will, but he's played one game this year and I haven't heard any glimmer of hope that he's coming back. Milwaukee doesn't have an answer for Joel Embiid. That's the biggest thing. If they had that big body in Brook Lopez and we couldn't slow down Joel, because Brook Lopez was one of those guys that could give Joel fits, and even on the defensive end, he's sitting in the corner pulling Joel away from the basket, and he's hitting 5 threes a game against the Sixers. They don't have that right now. Bobby Portis is starting at center. Jordan Noir is their power forward. They don't have anybody to throw at Joel Embiid, so that raised my confidence level. Like, okay, yes, we may not have anyone that can stop Giannis, but they don't have anyone that can stop Embiid. They're both going to get theirs at a dominant level. Now the others have to come to play.
Okay. I mean, that's a fair way. That's a fair way to look at it. It's that he cancels out Joel and him cancel each other out. Right. Then we've got James Harden to cancel out Drew and Chris Middleton. Yeah. And then
by the way, Drew Holiday's a very nice player, very good player. He's a key piece to why they won the chip. He's just a perfect fit there. Missed me with that offensive performance from Drew Holiday last night. That isn't happening night in and night out.
Hey, hold on a second. I'll disagree. I'm a huge Drew
I like
Holiday.
him. I like him. Come on, man.
He knows exactly what his role is. When he needs to put up 25, he does. When he needs to keep his head down, his job is going off for a 40 point. Drew Holiday, he's also one of the most underrated defensive players.
Oh, he's great defensively.
He is fantastic. He never gets talked in. I'm not saying he's an all-pro first-team defender, but he's borderline all-pro first-team defender. He's one of the best point guard defenders in the NBA, and he does not get anywhere near enough credit for that. And he's a great veteran role player on a team. I would love him. I mean, if we had,
I'd like him too, but he's just splashing 3 after 3 last night, getting to the rack, putting it up over contact, and I'm just like, come on, dude. Like that, like I'm used. Like you got Giannis and Chris already. I don't need it from Drew.
I've watched a lot of Drew Holiday games over the years, and I've seen him do that before. I have. I mean, he is shooting at a 40% plus clip from 3 this year. I don't know if you realize that he is shooting 40% from 3. So he's not as bad. I mean, he's 36.1% in his career. But he's got a 40% clip this year. So Drew Holiday. Let's save the Drew Holiday slander. Chris Middleton's another one. He had an awful game last night, but he's another one that, I mean, he's not going to shoot 2 of 12 from 3 every game. Chris Middleton, though, is kind of like the Bucks.
He's got it in him, though. He's got it in him for sure because I've bet Chris Middleton on certain nights, and those 2 of 12 nights come out to play.
Yeah, Chris Middleton, to me, different player, but kind of like the Tobias Harris of the Bucks. He's getting big money, but he gets big money because there's a lot of decent players that get big money because teams have to spend the money. Right. They lock up their core best players. He was one of those guys that they had to lock up by giving big money to, but he doesn't put up superstar numbers night in and night out, but he's capable of going for 40-something.
That would be another key matchup in that series if we meet them. Obviously, we mentioned Joel and Giannis, but Toby versus Middleton. Toby cannot get completely outplayed by Chris Middleton offensively. Like Chris Middleton can't be dropping 24 and Toby's got 15. So that it'll definitely be interesting with those two too.
All right. So I mean, huge win, obviously. Then we're looking forward here. I've already put it out on Twitter and all. We come out of the break. We've got 24 games left, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota, and then back-to-backs against New York. The home and home against New York. I'm still circling the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th game. You got March Friday 4th. You got Cleveland, then you go to Miami on a back-to-back, then you go home to Chicago, home Brooklyn. I'm circling that 4-game stretch as the key because actually after that, the rest of the schedule, there's a few tough games in there: Denver, Cleveland, Phoenix, another Milwaukee game, but mostly the rest of the schedule's pretty easy.
Right.
That
LA trip should be easier.
Yeah, the LA trip, absolutely.
Or we're home versus them this time, I think. Never mind.
No, we're in 23rd. We play Clippers, and 25th.
Okay, so we are in LA.
Lakers and Clippers both in LA, and then we go to Phoenix. So there's a tough stretch there, just because it's on the road and it's the West Coast. But outside of Phoenix, the Lakers don't scare me. Right. Anthony Davis out again now. They first said 2 weeks. Now they're saying at least 4 weeks for Anthony Davis. Mm-hmm. Anthony Davis is the most injury-prone guy. People talk about Joel's injury-prone. Very rarely do you hear AD injury-prone.
I know.
The Clippers have pretty much punted on the season. And Phoenix is obviously the best team in the league. I mean, it's not an easy stretch by any means.
Nice little 2-1 stretch.
Yeah, I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility to go 2-1. I still see that Cleveland, Miami, Chicago, Brooklyn. I mean, that's a clutch.
Well, especially because that's your conference as well.
Exactly. And you're chasing Miami and Chicago. You're neck and neck with Cleveland. Brooklyn's bad. They're falling. But you got to think when Kevin Durant comes back.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get political, but I'm going to make a political joke. New York is lifting their mask mandate soon just for Kyrie Irving to play in Brooklyn. That's the only – they've already lifted their mask mandate, so the vax mandate will get lifted soon just so Kyrie can play soon.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. So Brooklyn's going to start creeping back up the standings eventually. So that's such a clutch stretch there. I mean, how many games can the Sixers conceivably win down the stretch? How far up these standings can they get?
So we're at 35 and 23, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they got to win 15 to get to 50, which is a very good season. All right, that would be 15 and 9 in the final 24, and I think they're going to do better than that, right? So I think they win 50 plus games this year. Yeah. But going down the schedule, what do you think?
Well, I forget. I actually made a prediction earlier, and I'm trying to do the math in my head. Remember a couple years ago when we won like 17 or 18 games to end the season in a row?
Yeah, 16 or something, yeah.
The last 7 games of the season, Detroit, Charlotte, Cleveland, Indy, Toronto, Indy, Detroit. I think they could go on a 7-game stretch at the end of the season to win. And the 8th game before that is Milwaukee at home. We just beat Milwaukee. Maybe we even win 8 in a row to close out the season. So if there's 24 games left, and 7 of them are guaranteed wins already in my mind, that's 17 more games. To get to 50 wins, they could go 8-6 in that stretch easily to get to 50 wins. So there's a conceivable spot where they're going to end up 52 wins, 53 wins in my mind. Which
is a great season.
Yeah, I had done the math before, and I didn't do it today. I forget, it's either 51 or 52 wins gets them to a 60% win clip, okay? Which keeps them in the top 3, but puts them on par. The Bulls and Heat have won a bunch of games in a row now, so they're back up to 64%. But when I did this like a week ago, they were all right around the 60% win mark and all. So I think getting to 52 wins even could get you in that 1 or 2 seat in the East.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing is, obviously, I think Cleveland's going to drop off a little bit, but including Chicago.
I've been saying that all year, they haven't done it yet.
I know. Including Chicago, the Sixers hold the tiebreaker over both of those teams. So if they were neck and neck with either Cleveland and or Chicago, they will bump up in the standings because of that.
I just count it 19 potential wins on the. I mean, now
that's not impossible. That's not impossible.
It's a little homerish, but that puts you at 54 wins.
Maybe, but okay, let's say not 19 and 5. Let's say 17 and 7 or 18 and 6. Like, all right, you're anywhere from that 51 to 54 mark, we'll say.
All right, so I did want to touch base on one thing I had said earlier. You had brought up, because it was a road win. Something that I haven't actually talked about about anybody yet, but it's been percolating in my mind. We're supposed to have this awesome home court advantage. We have last year and the last couple of years, we've had dominating home records. How the hell do the Philadelphia 76ers have a 16-3 record, 16-13 record at home, and 19-10 on the road? Why?
I don't know.
I keep saying that's going to the law of averages. It's going to get better. It's going to get better. But then they tanked against the Celtics last week or earlier this week. It boggles my mind.
It's the bell ringers, man. They got to have less popular bell ringers.
I cannot get over the fact that we are a better road team right now than a home team.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense, especially because of the way Joel feeds off the crowd and Max, he's got all that energy and feeds off the crowd, and we're damn near sold out every night. It doesn't matter who they're playing. So I expect it'll get better come playoff time, especially with Harden here now. But yeah, they definitely need to play better at home.
Absolutely. All right, so it's All-Star Game weekend, and one thing I tweeted out last night, and I know everybody I got DMs, I got comments. You know it's not going to happen, so why even tweet it? I would kind of like Joel Embiid not to participate in All-Star Weekend.
Oh, me too. Me too.
You know he's going to play, and I said that. I know he's going to play, but between the wrist, between the fact that he's a 7'2", 285-pound man with a history of bad knees and bad backs and whatnot. Come on, Joel. Can you just please do one? Do it.
Like,
do
dude,
a
so
big
help me God, with Harden coming next week, he dunks the ball and hurts that wrist or something, and he's out
comes
for a
down
little
awkwardly on his knee on a dunk.
I swear to God, something better not happen. I wish he was.
I'm going to come on the show if that happens on Sunday, and I'm going to call Joel Embiid selfish for doing that because everything said. I mean, you see the last two games. Every moment
Harden's not playing in it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, that would be kind of weird if he did play in it, even though he didn't play the last two games.
I know, but like Harden's making sure he's 100%. Joel, you're nicked up, bro. It's obvious. You're grabbing your wrist every night. How about we sit this weekend out?
Sit out the weekend. You've got from last night was Thursday. They don't play again until next Thursday. That's 7 days off. You and James Harden, Tyrese Maxey. Well, Tyrese Maxey's, going to be in the Rising Stars, and he's some other challenge. I think he got added to.
Oh yeah,
one of the other side challenges and all. Dude, just the three of you lock yourself in a gym for the next 7 days. Work on conditioning. Work on teamwork and stuff like that. Dude, there's no need for it.
No,
there's just not. Actually, it'd be more fun to have Joel trolling the other All-Stars, on Twitter during the game than it would be than to watching him in the game and holding your breath every single time. I don't know about you, but it doesn't matter how many times he dunks, how many times he plays, how many times he falls. I hold my breath every single time.
Every time.
Last night
he had the one last night, yes, and he fell back like it almost looked like the LeBron.
One I'm talking about, he didn't fall on the ground.
Oh,
he dunked and he just came down awkwardly on his legs.
No,
and he ran into the
I remember that one. But I'm talking about the one. He got the N1 and he fell straight on his back like he did like LeBron with his tailbone, and I'm like, dude, no, get up now. Dude, thankfully, he didn't grimace or anything afterwards.
I mean, do you ever think there'll be a point in life where we don't grimace every time? I mean, even if he plays the next 5 years without missing major games or anything, I don't think there'll ever be a moment where I don't grimace with Joel.
Dude, I'm already nervous for Harden. It's like the new toy. I can't wait to see him play. And every time he does something, I'm like, no hammy, no hammy.
Yeah, no hammy. No hammy, no hammy, no hammy, no stop. Yeah. All right, so it's All-Star Weekend. I think NBA All-Star Weekend is the best of all four major sports.
I agree.
I agree. It's entertaining. I mean, some of the things that we're going to talk about them briefly each, but like the dunk contest is not quite as exciting as it used to be.
Right.
But overall, it's still definitely the thing, especially the fourth quarter of the All-Star game. And honestly, I think the three-point contest is probably the biggest event of the weekend, in my opinion. It's the one I look forward to the most. Will you watch the All-Star game or will you watch any of the competitions on Saturday night?
Absolutely. I do just about every year. The other hockey, I can't watch the All-Star weekend. NFL Pro Bowl, I refuse to watch. Right. Baseball, the game means something. The home run derby, obviously, I watch. But yes, this is they just put on a show, basically. There's just everything's pretty cool. There's always a lot of excitement. Like even the skills competition, there's a big dude versus a knockdown guard 3-point shooter, and the big dude's coming out here banging threes on one attempt.
Yeah, absolutely. Grimacing is reflective there, Freddie. Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the celebrities want to come out for it. I mean, it's so exciting. Right. Everybody wants to be.
It's star packed.
I think the Saturday night skills competition brings out even more stars, than
Yeah.
the All-Star game itself.
Oh, it does.
And I want to, the slam dunk contest. I mean, obviously, every year it gets lesser and lesser, exciting. This year you got Jalen Green, rookie from the Rockets. You got Cole Anthony from the Magic. You got Opie Toppin, who doesn't even play regularly, and you got Juan Toscano Anderson from the Warriors. I mean, I've heard of Opie Toppin, I've heard of Jalen Green and Cole Anthony, but do any of those 4 guys make you like, dude, I cannot miss the slam dunk contest?
No, not at all. First of all, Cole Anthony. This is going to sound ridiculous because of smaller dudes and Spud Webb that have won, but Cole Anthony's a point guard. And Obi Toppin has bunnies out of the gym. So Obi's my favorite to win. If you had to place a bet, I'd go with Obi.
I mean, hasn't Obi been in it before?
You think he was in it last year?
He was in it last year. One of the last 2 years, he was definitely in it.
But
honestly, I will watch the 3-point contest. I will have the dunk contest on. But if I need a drink, or if I need to use the bathroom or anything, I'm going to be going and refreshing myself during the dunk contest, not the 3-point contest.
The dunk contest
I got the dunk contest history here up on my screen.
Okay.
The last 3 years, you've got Anthony Simmons, who's actually finally breaking out a little bit with Portland now that CJ's not there, but he was a nobody, really. Derrick Jones Jr., Diallo from Oklahoma City I don't even know what he's doing.
I don't know.
You got to go back to Zach LaVine winning it back-to-back years in 15 and 16.
Those two were great. Those two were
the
Aaron Gordon, Zach LaVine dunk contest. But those were, and then
John
even
Wall,
before that,
how did John Wall win a dunk contest?
that's what before, like the couple years
Ross
before them were not good either.
I mean, you got to go back to Blake Griffin, the last time a superstar player. Zach LaVine was the star, but Zach LaVine wasn't the star he is now.
Not then, no.
Blake Griffin was the last star to win a dunk contest.
Yeah, Blake Griffin in the Dwight Howard days when he was pulling out the Superman cape. Where
I'm still not over. Nate Robinson. So it was Dwight Howard, then Nate Robinson back-to-back, then Blake Griffin. Nate Robinson beat out Dwight one year, and he beat out Andre Iguodala the other year. I
remember that one.
The Andre Iguodala bounce off the back of the back
with AI.
Yeah, dude, that is still to me one of my 3 or 4 favorite dunks of all time in a dunk contest. But I mean, you go back and we always talk about how there's all these big stars. So I brought up the list of all the winners. Honestly, the dunk contest has never been won by big stars over and over again. I mean, before Dwight Howard, you had Gerald Green, Nate Robinson, Josh Smith, Fred Jones, Josh Richardson won it back-to-back years. Desmond Mason, Vince Carter that year, that was one of the best dunk contests of all time. Kobe won it once. Brent Barry won a dunk contest. Harold Miner, Isaiah Ryder. Come on now.
Well, that's the other thing about the contest.
I guess the dunk contest has never really been all about star power.
No, sure, but back in the day, and you threw out the name Kobe, and Dwight at the time was at the peak, and obviously the GOAT and Dominique, like the top guys performed in the dunk contest in years past.
They just didn't always win.
It doesn't happen though anymore. Like LeBron has never competed in one, right? Like these guys, the top tier stars in this league. Like if Zion was healthy, would Zion do it? I doubt it.
No way.
So like that's why the names just don't jump off the page to you. Now, I'm not gonna lie, the 4 names this year really don't jump off the page to me. Like at least Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon, those years there was a guy you could point at and be like, okay, these guys. I'm excited to watch Obi Toppin. Like, oh my god,
who is he going to be in the league in 2 years?
I don't know, dude.
Exactly. But on the flip side, the 3-point contest has always drawn star power for some reason, and it's slowly I'm excited. I love watching these guys shoot, and I love how they mix in big. Like so, this year you got Fred VanVleet. He's not an exciting player, but good 3-point shooter. Desmond Bane, good young player with the Grizzlies. Luke Kennard, you always got to have one white man sniper in the 3-point contest. It's no doubt about it. You got CJ McCollum, who is lights out all of a sudden with the New Orleans Pelicans. Patty Mills. You got Cat. You always got to have a big man in the 3-point contest. Zach LaVine trading his dunks. So you got that star power. If he performs, he is bad. He hasn't been healthy. So maybe they sub him out. And then Trae Young. Also, you have a starter in the All-Star game in the 3-point contest. And if you go back to past champions, Steph Curry winning multiple, Devin Booker. Then you got the shooters like Joe Harris just dominating the stars. You got Marco Bellinelli dominating the stars. You had Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love. You've had Jason Capono winning multiple of them.
Well, you had Steph and Clay battling it out. Like,
I mean, it's exciting to see this.
Yeah.
I mean, the 3-point contest is by far, it's right up there with the home run derby with baseball. It's my favorite skills competition in all of all-star sports.
who do you
I
like
love
in
it.
it?
This year, let me go over these numbers again and look at it. Zach LaVine, no, I do not like Zach
No,
LaVine
no.
at all. I would my fandom would say I want CJ McCollum because I've always been a CJ McCollum fan. I didn't want to trade Ben Simmons for CJ McCollum, but when CJ McCollum came up on his rookie deal and he was a restricted free agent, and this was a couple years ago, I wanted the Sixers to make a qualifying offer. This was before a lot of things happened, before we had maxed out Toby or Jimmy Butler was here. I wanted CJ McCollum. I thought him and Ben Simmons in the backcourt were going to be a good pair together. I'm a big fan of CJ McCollum, so I'd like to see him win. If I'm going to pick somebody, I'm either going to go with Patty Mills or Luke Kennard. I think Patty Mills is the guy that goes off this year.
Me too. That's what I was going to do. Patty Mills snipes, dude.
Yeah,
And I
he
hate
does.
to say it in Brooklyn, but he snipes. It's either him or I'm just looking down this list. Like, if there's going to be a guy who can surprise you, not surprise you because they're all deserving of being here.
I mean, I think Patty Mills is a guy that could surprise because
Yeah.
Patty Mills is a star. He could snipe,
Yeah.
but people don't realize how good he is of a shooter.
Yeah, like if Van Vliet does get hot, maybe Desmond Bain. I just don't know. Like, there's a difference, obviously,
He shot
from
42% this year from deep.
yeah, but it's all released. That timing is so important. Like, will him or Cat get around? Desmond Bain's a huge person. Like,
Yeah, that's why sometimes you see 3-point specialists win just as much as the stars in this contest because they're not. Danny Green has won this because if you watch Danny Green's 3-point, he grabs the ball, snap,
Right.
it's gone, snap, it's gone, snap. You got to be able to do that, and guys like Trae Young,
like
that are
George
dribbling-
Niang would not be a good contender.
I didn't make my joke. It kind of seems like George Niang has 2 bricks in his feet. I think I can jump higher off the ground than George Niang can. He can just get higher because he's like 6'8" or 6'9". Me, I'm 6'2". But I think inches off the ground, I could get higher, and I cannot
Probably.
jump. I got metal in my leg,
Yeah,
and I could probably jump higher than George Niang.
yeah.
Probably
He would not. He would not be a good contender in the 3-point contest at all.
No, not at all. So, do you care more about the Saturday night festivities than the game itself?
Care as in, will I pay more attention to? Yes.
Yeah.
Care as in, I'm going to have to hold my breath for the entire game to see if Joel Embiid gets hurt. Then I care more about Sunday.
All right, that's fine. And I do want to, before we wrap basketball talk up and do a little bit of Eagles talk here, because I did promise Eagles talk today. The All-Star game, I have one favorite memory, and it's got to be the Allen Iverson MVP year. Yeah, it was a 2001, I want to say it was. Yeah, the 2001 All-Star game where he won the MVP, and after the game, he's looking around getting his trophy. Where's my coach? Where's my coach? Because, there's so much hate supposedly between Allen Iverson and Larry Brown. And obviously, the first thing Allen Iverson wanted to do was thank his coach, Larry Brown. And it just showed there was actually not a rift between Larry Brown and Allen Iverson. And then that kind of turned the season around. We went on to the NBA Finals, lost to Lakers, unfortunately. But that will always stick out as my favorite moment from All-Star Weekend.
He was the man, dude. There's one story I have where I when I was really little, I was not really little, but I was Sixers fan of the game. They came up and grabbed me out of the seats before the game started, so I got to go on the floor for the national anthem and all. It was when AI came back, when Sammy Dallenberg was there with Mo Cheeks.
Okay.
It's like when AI came back to later on. And I got to get the first ball off the rack, and when they came out of the tunnel, he was the first person and got to hand him the ball, and they came out for warm up. So it was awesome. But he's the man.
So young. You were that little kid, and that was I was already a grown adult and married.
I'm 24, bro.
Yeah, dude, I'm 41. You're a baby to me. Oh man, that's an awesome memory. All right, I did talk about it. Once a week going forward the rest of the offseason, I am going to do my least favorite thing in the world, and that's mock drafts.
You love
Okay.
it.
I hate them. I've never done a mock draft live on an air, so this might be a complete and total bust. But we're going to do it anyway.
Sure.
So every single week when I do a mock draft, it might not always be on Fridays. It might be different days. But every mock draft is going to have a different theme. Okay, Dylan? So we're gonna do this mock draft. I got it set to fast, okay? So that the other team, we're going to go through all 7 rounds of the Eagles here in 20 minutes. The theme is what would Howie do? Not what do we want Howie to do? Not what we think the Eagles should do.
All right.
but we have to tend to think that we are Howie Roseman when making these selections. Okay? And the other part of this theme is today we are not allowed to make trades in this draft. We are picking at 15, 16. Right. No trades. I'm going to do mock drafts with trades.
No Russell Wilson?
No Russell Wilson. Not on this one.
Damn.
And let me tell you something. I ran about 4 sims before we did this show, and it's going to be really tough to make picks that you want and not what you like 2 times. Kenny Pickett was available in the second round.
Oh, Howie will take him.
Exactly.
Howie will take him.
Exactly. So let me bring this up here on the screen, and let's see here. Let's draft 7 fast Eagles. Let's draft. So it's going to go, and it's going to come to us.
Wow. I've never done this.
You've never done this?
No.
All right. So we're picking at 15 here. On the board, you've got a guard, Karen Johnson. You got wide receiver, Garrett Wilson. You got a cornerback. You got an edge rusher.
Dude, I love Sauce.
What's that?
I love Sauce Gardner, but I don't think Howie's taking him.
At this point right now, the edge rusher from Michigan, David Ajobi, he loves his edge rushers. He drafted. You got to remember, we're going to have 2 picks back to back here too.
Oh, that's true.
So, I mean, it doesn't matter which one we take, but I'm going to tell you, the first pick he's going to take.
David Ajobi is definitely coming off. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, let me look up here who went here earlier. See, Tyler Linderbaum in a couple of my mocks has been on the board still, and he's not. So that's crazy. Man, this is a bad mock draft because George Karlaftis went before Aiden Hutchinson. Lindblom, Chris Olave, Kyle Hamilton. That's a guy who won so bad. Stingley, I would love, but he's not going to be there. And Jameson Williams going so early. That's kind of a surprise. But anyway, can we agree that Ajobi's the first?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right. So the next question is, with his next pick, does he take the linebacker we need, the cornerback we need, or does he do what we expect him to do, what I expect him to do, and take a wide receiver in the first round?
Fuck, man, this is tough because I know what I want. I want Sauce. I like Sauce on my wings, but I don't know if Howie will do that.
When was the last time the Eagles organization drafted a cornerback?
I know. And everyone keeps. Some people keep telling me.
Quarterback?
Some people keep telling me he's changed. Like he's got this one. He's changed.
Right. So if you think he's changing,
no. I didn't say that.
Here's what I'm going to say. Here's how I'm going to say this. If you take Sauce with this 16th pick, 19, that's only a couple picks away. There's going to be a lot of guys on this board defensively still. You know he's not taking defense with both the 16th.
Yeah, I know.
So if you want to take Gardner now, go for it. But we're taking a wide. I'm going to look at this board.
He's going wide out, bro.
I'm gonna put Sauce in. Maybe he has changed. So we'll go with it. Let's see who's there at 19. You got a guard, you got a linebacker.
Dean.
Devin Lloyd is the guy that we all want.
Devin Lloyd or Nakobe Dean. But he ain't doing it. He is
not going to do it.
He sees Sam Howell on the board and he says, "Give me."
I don't even know who Sam Howell is. Let me bring up his report here real quick. Let's see who Sam Howell is here. He is a 6 foot, 220-pound quarterback. So a super short quarterback. That's right up Howie's alley too. No, he's not going to do that. He's either going to, if this was the board, he's going to take the guard.
Yeah.
Because that can move Dickerson or Sayamalu to center, or it moves Dickerson to center and it moves Sayamalu to the trade block. If you got a center, a guard or a lineman available at 19 like this, that's ranked so highly, that's what he's going to do. Can you agree with me?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, let's see what happens by the second round here. Who's left?
Kenny Pickett.
It's got to be a wide receiver. It's got to be a wide receiver.
Kenny Pickett's Carson Strong. That's where he's going.
Yeah, exactly. This is not a joke. I literally think if Carson Strong is available in the second round, I mean, I don't know. I've watched some highlight tapes actually on him. He's got a strong arm. He's everything. He's big. He's 6'4", 225, 230 pounds. He's got a strong arm. He can make the deep pass. He's got some issues with, handling pressure, but Carson Strong's there. Carson Strong's going to be the guy. I'm telling you. This is what Howie does, not what we want him to do.
Don't do wide out yet because wide out comes in like the 6th round for Howie.
Now we're at 83. You've got another edge rusher, and I've looked up this guy because he's fallen on my board. Don't be surprised if they double dip into certain positions.
Oh, I know.
Edge, tight
can
end.
we do a guy that I know how to pronounce his last name?
Sure, who?
I don't know. I just don't. Ebikidi, is that Penn State?
You're just making. I thought you were looking at like the fact that there's a tight end, and this tight end here.
No, yeah, but Jake
I
Ferguson.
think is this the guy that's like 6'6"? I don't know. Hold on, let me see.
Let's see.
He's 6'5",
Yeah.
200
Size is a red
guy. Howie Roseman's eyes will light up at the thought if you can't get a big wide receiver, go get another big tight end. Right now, in my opinion, at this point, and you can pick. You got Arnold, the edge from Penn State, or you got Jake Ferguson.
I don't know. I think he goes with Boy Mafe.
Boy Mafe. Okay. All right. Edge or tight end, you're going another edge. All right. And this is what Howie would do, because Howie does not do the predictable. He does what he thinks the smartest man in the room does.
Yeah.
All right.
No,
so now
tight end.
Tight end. Okay. We'll go with the best tight end on the board because you do know that the Eagles need another tight end.
Yeah, I know.
They actually really do.
But
now you get into
my fourth.
Now you're just looking at positional needs. Now maybe at 154, that's where you go get your safety.
Yep.
You take the top safety on the board at the time. I just want to look up who this guy is.
Hold on.
A key contributor for Kentucky, starting to emerge as a sleeper. He had 40 tackles, 3 for a loss, a sack, 7 pass deflections. Long safety, compounds length with explosiveness. Yeah, so he's a developmental project, which is perfect for Howie.
Yeah. Who the hell is Smoke Monday?
I have no safety from Auburn. He doesn't even have information.
Coming soon.
That is who Smoke Monday is. He's coming soon. That's actually a more Howie pick, is it not?
Smoke Monday.
We're gonna take Corker though, because he's the best one on the board. All right. See, these trades keep popping up. What have we taken so far? We've taken a tight end.
2 tight ends, 2 guards. Sky Moore.
So this is where you go with your linebacker. He likes his wait around. JoJo Doman coming soon. Sky Moore coming. Well, yeah. At this point, you get down to the bottom of the draft. They don't have
scouting reports.
Yeah. So do you think they took a late shot at a safety? They take a late shot at a linebacker here, and the trade's just compliant.
I'm telling you, he's taking Sky Moore.
All right, we're going. We don't know who Sky Moore is, but we're going to take it. We're going to take it.
They have a lot of draft picks.
They have 10 draft picks this year.
And we're using all of them.
We are using them all right now.
All right, we've taken our safety, right?
Hold on, I want to go back up to the top. Where do I there's got to be a spot which says
your picks.
All my picks so far. Nope, I guess not. There's got to be a spot for that somewhere where I could track who's my guy so far. But I don't know at this point.
I know we have a corner, an edge, a guard.
2 edges. I know we have 2 edges.
2 edges.
We need a running back. He's going to draft a running back.
Yep.
He is going to try to move. You might be able to get a running back with the next.
What about Jack Sanborn out of Wisconsin?
Another linebacker, going 2 linebackers back to back. Threat both on the line of scrimmage and in the open field. Not naturally athletic, but has enough to move well laterally. He does stand out. He's football intelligence. The aspect of this game is
high football IQ. That's a Howie guy.
High football IQ. Another linebacker. Then there we go. Got to pick up a running. Well, I don't even think we have a 7th round pick. That might have been the end of our picks right there.
Really?
We did not address running back or punter in this draft.
Damn it.
Full results. Oh no, I just want my team results. Freaking it. There we go. But what's more important is just looking at the top half of this and seeing what would Howie do. This is what Howie does.
I'm okay with the first 2 picks.
Yeah, so am I.
I like the first 2.
I still don't know if I agree that he takes Sauce Gardner at 16. If Ajobi is the best player, best edge rusher, best linebacker available at that point, I 110% see Ajobi being the pick at 15. Absolutely. But Gardner, I don't think he'll be there at 16. But B, I don't see him taking him. Taking a guard, I could see that. And I absolutely see right here.
Carson Strong. Yeah.
There's a 110% chance that if somebody like Carson Strong's there at 51, that they take him.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we are doing a mock draft right now live on the air, Tracy.
Just so you know.
Once a week. There's a theme every week when I do my mock draft. This week's theme was not who we want. The theme was, what will Howie do? And this is what we think Howie's mindset would be, not
Boy,
the other way around. Because
Boy Mafe at 83 is definitely incoming.
Boy Mafe. Is it Mafe? Is it Mafe?
I don't know, bro.
Mafe? It could be Mafe.
No idea. I still want Smoke Monday.
Yes, Smoke Monday. Some of the names in this draft are hilarious. Absolutely. So the point of this exercise is to talk about what's going to be available each time. So I'm going to snapshot this after the show. I'm going to post it.
We're going to get ripped apart because no one's going to understand what we did.
I'm going to put what would Howie do,
Yeah.
and people are still going to ignore the fact that I put that on there. Just like everybody thinks my Overreaction Monday statements are official statements.
Yeah.
And no one reads #Overreaction Monday. I'm going to do a draft one day on an Overreaction Monday, and we're going to have the theme will be the Overreaction Monday draft, and people are going to blast me to pieces. But the theme of this is people do mock drafts all the time. You see it. People doing mock drafts 25.0, 3000.1.
I've never done one. I refuse to do it.
I mean, I've messed around like the day or two before a draft, just out of curiosity, because we do a show just to talk about it.
Yeah.
But I don't. This will be the first time I ever post.
Oh, it was cool doing it. I've just never been. I don't know. I've never had interest in. I like to talk about it. I don't like. I've never been that guy. I don't even do trade machines. Like, how people go nuts with the Ben Simmons trade machines.
I'll pull the trade machine up if I need to see financially if it works. Like if I say, hey, I want to trade this guy for this guy, let me pull up the trade machine just to see if the financials work on it. But that's it. That's all I'll pull the trade machine. I've never posted a mock draft because people don't do their mock drafts realistically.
No.
Realistically speaking, you can look at the last 5 years of Howie Roseman's drafts. You can look at the last 20 years of Eagles drafts, which he's been involved in. Actually, he's been involved. When did Joe Banner get hired? Like 1995? I mean, he's been here basically. He was trained by Joe Banner. So you can go back to the beginning of the Joe Banner era, and you can pull threads from all the drafts the last 25 plus years and make a conclusion on what they're going to do. And this is what they're going to do. They're going to draft edge. They're going to draft interior offensive and defensive linemen early in draft. That's what they do. And you can't say that it doesn't work to an extent. I know the problem with Howie's draft record is his 2 or 3 busts or misses are so big, it takes away from all the other good that he has done.
That's right.
And that's the problem. He's hit on a lot of times.
My problem is I know, like, because we always say, build in the trenches, and it's a good philosophy, and it is, and it works. And that's why the Eagles are always like top 5, top 10 in both sides of the line of scrimmage. The issue is, yes, would Ajabo would be the correct pick? Yeah, because they do need defensive line help. I know going forward, they're going to need offensive line help. You don't know what's going on with Kelsey. He's getting older, right? Brandon Brooks is going to be gone, so they'll have Dickerson fill in there or whatever. But that's not like you see the holes right now. Go effing draft the corner, the linebacker.
The thing I could say is everyone said he never drafted Alabama people or like big school people. He went out and got Devontae Smith and Dickerson, big name guys from big name programs. So he changed that philosophy last year. Will he change the philosophy this year? I mean, I would be excited if he does. I don't care who he takes. If he takes a linebacker in the first round and a cornerback in the first round, don't care if they're reaches or not. I'm going to be happy that he changed his philosophy, and that's it. But I just don't buy it.
I'll be happy. It just matters how much of a reach. Like if Sauce Gardner's there at 16 or 15, and he takes the third best, fourth best corner on the board and over Sauce, I'm going to lose it.
So here's something I want to throw at you. Something that me and Jason have talked about on the show. Me and a bunch of people have talked about on other shows before. The top 3 edge rushers. You got Thibodeau from Oregon. You've got Hutchinson from Michigan. This had Karlaftis from Purdue going actually second, which is crazy. But most mock drafts don't have him going that early. They have him more going in that 8 to 12 range. Would you be, everybody keeps talking about trading 1 or 2 picks into next year. Just have a backup plan at quarterback. Would you be okay with them taking 2 of their picks, say 15 and 19 or 16 and 19, and moving up to say 8 to go get one of the top 2 or 3 defensive ends? Or if you like the one we drafted, a Joby, and you think he might come off the board, are you okay moving up? Because you look at it, you look at most of the elite teams in the playoffs this year, almost every single one of them had an elite young guy on the end that gets pressure every single play, that teams have to double team. We do not have that. You look at the Bosas, you look at the Watts, you look at the guys in this league that dominate the league. You know, Cleveland's got, what's his name, Garrett. You got Clowney still is a dominating force in this league. Every team has at least one super elite edge rusher. Do you move up and get one? I say yes. I'm not giving up a lot, but I would give up 15 and 19 to move up to 8, 7, 6 to go get that guy.
Right, and have 7 and 16 at your disposal then.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, I'd be okay with that, I guess, as long as you're keeping.
Then, hypothetically speaking, you could take 16 and trade back and pick up an extra pick. You know, you could trade 16, fall to the late first round, still get a cornerback or a safety or a wide receiver, whatever it may be, and then you have that.
My whole issue,
second-round picks.
My whole issue with all of that, which is something I could definitely see Howie doing, is I've said this to Scotty multiple times. This doesn't happen often. Teams don't have 3 first-round picks at their disposal. Mm-hmm. So I think Howie has to be very careful in what he does and not just playing it the mathematical way this time and moving back and picking up an extra pick. F that, dude. You already have the extra pick that you wanted. You have 3 of them. So either we haven't even talked about, and I'm sure I'd love to come back on and talk about the alternative, and that is moving some of these picks for Russell Wilson, or you spend them and you fill the holes because you can get 2 to 3 very talented players at that point in the draft. I don't think I'd be okay with him, moving up to grab one guy and then trading the others back to pick up a third-round pick or a second. I'm not for it. You already had the extra pick you're searching for in the first round.
If the mock draft played out the way we just did it, you're getting a guy, David Ajobi, that'll start day one.
And Gardner.
And Gardner, who's going to start opposite Darius Slay day one.
And then if somehow Howie changed everything.
Then you take a guard with your 19th pick, though. Unless Kelsey retires, that's not a starting player day one.
Right, but that's my point. We went guard there because we think he would. I'm saying, if, knock on wood, he went with Ajabu and then Gardner, let's say he's figured it out, and let's say Dean or Lloyd is on the board there at 19, that's an option for Howie to go do. So it all has to, he's the guy. He has to figure it out.
And on this mock that we just did, Dean was on the board at 19, and we skipped
Lloyd.
Yeah. So, that's the theme of this one. What would Howie do? We don't know. We only have 1 year last year of Howie changing his script. We can't just assume that maybe just the talent level there of Devontae and Dickerson was so high that he had no choice but to change his philosophy. I don't know if, Dean or Lloyd are that level that they're so good that you can't change your philosophy. I still think we draft a wide receiver in the first round. I still do.
He has to hear the outside noise, right? And I'm not saying that should just alter his mindset, because if you're him, you think I care what the media says, you think I care what these experts say, but you don't hear yourself getting mocked. You don't see the screw ups yourself year after year and think, oh, you know what? I probably should take Nakobe Dean at 19 if he's there. You don't see that.
Yeah, it's crazy to think, but we're going to do this. And if it wasn't for the Sixers' big win last night, we would have done – this would have been like a 30 to 40-minute segment. Yeah. We had to cut it to 20 minutes.
He'll hit me up late last night. Change of plans.
Yeah, change of plans. We're talking Sixers. Yeah. Even though I had already tweeted out there we're going to talk nothing but Eagles draft today. I mean, it's a football Friday. It's going to be football Friday because football is a year-round sport. But, yeah, it's going to be fun because I can't wait. I'm going to go from never doing a mock draft to probably having 20 mock drafts out there by the time the draft comes around in April, because it is literally going to be a weekly segment, mock draft theme of the day. I might bring you back on, Dylan, and it's going to be the theme is what would Dylan do? That might be
we'll have fun with it.
Yeah. What would Dylan do is going to be a theme right there. All right. We're going to wrap up the show for the day there. Dylan, thank you very much for coming on. Make sure you follow Dylan at DylanJD98 on Twitter. I am your host, Phil Stiefel, at Bearded Knowledge on Twitter. This is Trending in the AM. Right here on DSM Media. We have just wrapped up, I don't even know, like our third month of doing this, and every Friday is so depressing because then that means I have 2 days of no trending in the AM. I love doing this morning show. Thank you to everybody tuning in, Drace, Freddie, Mark, everybody that watches. Much appreciated. Another strong week for the show. We're brought to you as all shows on DSM Media by Manscaped, the leader of men's grooming products. Check them out, manscaped.com. Use promo code DSM. Get you 20% off free shipping. And let them know Team DSM sent you. We'll be back next week. Overreaction Monday. I got Jason and Mark on. So God knows what we're going to be talking about on Monday for Overreaction Monday. There's so much that can be on the plate on Monday.
Joel Embiid's
we'll be back. Yeah. Do you got anything going on this weekend? You guys got any shows or anything happening?
This weekend, no. Turf Talk just wrapped up season 1 the other night, and we'll be back closer towards, once free agency opens up and the market opens up, we'll come back during that time. And then the Faithful Fanatics, no, nothing until Monday. So,
all right, sounds good. All right, everybody, make sure you subscribe to DSM Media. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, all the different channels, TikTok. And like I said, make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube. As we end every show, it's very simple. It's just go Birds.
Go Birds.